Hello students. So in the last lecture I started 8051 microcontroller, and there I discussed about the features of 8051 microcontroller and the packaging types. So in this lecture I'm going to start the 8051 microcontroller architecture. So first I'll discuss the basic components of this 8051 microcontroller. So what are the basic components of 8051 microcontroller? They are central processing unit, interrupt control, then we have memory in the 8051 microcontroller, timers and counters, input output ports, oscillator, then buses, address bus and data bus, serial ports, and this is the bus control for controlling the buses. So one by one I'll discuss each of these blocks, or you can say each of the basic components of 8051 microcontroller. So first start with CPU. As we all know, CPU is the central processing unit. It is the mind of any processing machine. So what is the role of CPU? It actually scrutinizes and manages all the processes that are carried out in microcontroller. And how it does, it interprets the program printed in storage space, that is ROM, that is read only memory. Whatever program is written in the ROM, it interprets those programs and carries out all of the programs and do the projected duty. This is how central processing unit manages all the processes which are carried out in the microcontroller. So the user has no power over the functioning of the CPU of the microcontroller. CPU manages different types of registers in 8051 microcontrollers. So about the register part I'll discuss later in my next slide. So first I'll discuss only the basic components. So CPU, it manages all the different types of registers in 8051 microcontroller. Next component that I'm going to discuss is interrupts. So we know, as when I was discussing the microprocessor part also, there I told you that what is interrupt? It is a subroutine call that is given to any processor. So here interrupt is a subroutine call that is given to the microcontroller, which means when some other program with high priority is requesting for acquiring the system buses, then interrupt occurs in current running program. So interrupt provide a method to postpone or delay the current process, carry out a subroutine task, and then all over again restart standard program implementation. So 8051 microcontroller can be assembled in such a manner that it momentarily stops or break the core program at the happening of the interrupt, and when the subroutine task is finished, then the core program implementation takes place automatically as usual. So in 8051 microcontroller there are 5 interrupts, and among these 5, 2 are peripheral interrupts, 2 are timer interrupts, and 1 is serial interrupts. So 8051 microcontroller has 5 interrupts, as I've told you. So among these 5, 2 are peripheral interrupts, that is these external interrupts, 2 are timer interrupts, and 1 is serial port interrupt. Next basic component that I am going to discuss is memory. This memory. So microcontroller, it needs a program. And what is program? Program is a set of commands. So microcontroller needs a program to perform the task. So this program, it needs a storage space on which it can be stored and interpreted by microcontroller. So the memory which is brought into play, that is the memory which is used to store that program of microcontroller, is recognized as program memory, or you can say code memory, and in common language it is also known as read only memory. So read only memory of 8051 microcontroller is used to store the program of the 8051 microcontroller, which is later interpreted by the microcontroller, and according to that program microcontroller performs the task. Now the microcontroller also needs memory to store data or operands for the short duration. So the storage space which is used to momentarily store data is acknowledged as data memory, which is also known as random access memory. So this random access memory is used to store the data or operands temporarily. So microcontroller, this 8051 microcontroller contains code memory, or you can say program memory, or you can say ROM. That is, it contains 4 kilobyte ROM, on chip ROM, and this 8051 microcontroller also comprises 128 bytes of data memory, or you can say 128 bytes of RAM. Next basic component of 8051 microcontroller that I am going to discuss is bus. So what is bus? Bus basically it is a group of wires. The bus is a group of wires which function as a communication canal or a mean for the transfer of data from one point to another. These buses, they are the group of wires which function as communication means to transport data from one point to another point. So these buses may comprise of 8 cables, or it may comprise of 16 cables, and accordingly it can bear 8 bits or 16 bits altogether. So in 8051 microcontroller there are two types of buses, that is address bus and data bus. So as I've told you when I was discussing the feature part also, that 8051 microcontroller consists of 16-bit address bus, and it is brought into play to address memory positions, that is, it is utilized to transmit the address from central processing unit to memory. So address bus is used to transfer the address from central processing unit to memory. Whereas data bus 8051 microcontroller comprise of 8-bit data bus only, and it is used to carry the data. So now next component, the next basic component that I am going to discuss here is input output port. So as we all know, we are acquainted that microcontroller is the soul of embedded system. As I've already told you that microcontroller is the soul of an embedded system, or you can say microcontroller is used in embedded system to manage the functions of device. So you can say microcontroller is the soul of embedded system. Therefore, to connect the microcontroller to other machinery or gadgets or peripherals, we need input-output interfacing ports in the microcontroller. We need input-output interfacing ports in the microcontroller so that we can connect the microcontroller to other peripherals or gadgets or machinery. For this function, microcontroller 8051 consists of 4 input-output ports to unite this microcontroller to the other peripherals. So I'm ending this class here. We'll discuss about the rest of the basic components in my next lecture. Thank you.